You know when you see something that somebody does in sewing and it just makes you go, oh, I can't believe they just did that. So there are topics that divide us sewists for sure. And this video, we're going to have a little bit of fun and games and see which side of the line, literally which side of the line, that you sew on. My sewing friends, it is time for some fun and games. Now, I am really quite excited about this video. We are just going to talk about those topics that you just see someone and just think, why are they doing that? That's wrong. And of course it is not wrong, but it's just certain things that we all like to do in particular, and there's a line in the sand and we either sit on this side or this side. And I thought it would be really fun to go through them and see which side of the line that you sit on. And of course, I'll tell you which side I sit on a few particular sewing controversial topics that come up, particularly on social media, of course. Isn't this what social media is for? This is all for fun and games, of course, and it is a fun and game, so I want you to write down your answers. I put them in the description box so you can sort of copy and paste, but literally get a pen and paper and write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 5 different topics, so you can write your answer there, and then I want you to put that in the comments down below at the end so we can all see your results as well and see where you sit on the proverbial sewing line. All right, number 1, which is correct? Do you pin on the stitch line or do you pin your pattern anywhere that you like? So what do I mean? When you're pinning out your patterns to cut them out, do you either pin on your stitch line or inside the seam allowance, or do you just tend to kind of pin it, you know, wherever it sits in and just make it work? Which is right, A or B? Of course, A is my answer. I'm always pinning on the stitch line or in the seam allowance. My only exception is if it's a toile or a mock-up, of course, because, you know, it doesn't matter if there's pin marks. Oh, I guess maybe if it's a super, super loose weave and it won't leave pin marks, but otherwise, no exceptions. Always A. Always A. Which one are you? On the stitch line or anywhere it works? Number 2, when cutting out your pattern, do you cut out the pattern to your size, or do you leave your pattern or all of the sizes intact and leave it all like this? Which is correct? Of course, there is no correct. What do I do? Well, actually it's changed. I used to always just cut out my size and be done with it, and that is it. I would still do that, but most days I often use vintage patterns, which of course I would never like ruin the pattern, so to say, because I'm always tracing it off and actually just making it my own from there and all the adjustments, and it has nothing to do with, this is just a starting point. So usually I'll just trace it off on my size and leave them all there, but I'm not, because only on vintage patterns generally, but not because I'm sort of scared of cutting into the pattern. It's just that I have to trace it off anyway and just add to it, so it doesn't really matter to me. But that has been my answer. Which one are you? A, cut out your size and just, that's it, your pattern, or do you leave that, all the pattern, all the sizes intact for later? B, I'd love to write it down. Which are you? I know there's going to be a lot of great comments about this one because I know it's either or generally with this. Okay, so number 3, are you A, shears for cutting out all of your fabric, or a rotary cutter? Judging by the fact that I don't have a rotary cutter, I think you know what my answer is here. I'm shears always. Give me my big, heavy duty shears. I have them in all different types of sizes. I'll do shears any day. But I know there are some of you out there that are just a rotary cutter all of the way. So which is the right way for you? Write that one down. Shears or rotary cutter? Okay, so we're number 4. So you're getting ready to sew your seams together. And so our number 4 is, do you pin your fabric vertically or horizontally? What do I mean? So do you put your pins in along with where you're going to sew, so that pretty much on your sort of stitch line and sew this way? Or do you sew them like lengthwise, or do you put your pins in crosswise, horizontally here across, and then you're sewing down across them? which is the right answer for you. I can tell you my right answer, and it's definitely pinning on the stitch line vertically. Absolutely. The only exception for me is I pin a crosswise when I have intersecting seams and I actually want to, like there's a certain point and I want that pin to be there so I can actually sew over it a little bit. It actually really kind of freaks me out when I see people putting in horizontal pins and just sewing over the whole lot over them and not taking them out. It actually really scares me. So I'm definitely the A. All of my answers I think are A. Like pinning with on the seam line, like lengthwise with it. Not crosswise, only for those most exceptions. Write yours down. I'd love to hear which one are you, lengthwise or crosswise. Okay, number 5. Now this is the big one right here. The really big one, the biggest one of them all. When you pull out your pattern, maybe you've looked at it, maybe you've cut it, maybe you've used it, maybe you haven't. What do you do when you fold it back up? This is number 5. Do you refold the fabric exactly on the original fold lines and, you know, a bit painstakingly refold it exactly how it was? Or do you just kind of like fold it and make it fit, however, and just make it fit? If you said that one, you're a barbarian. How could you do that? Absolutely not. I'm not even sure we can be friends anymore. Oh, it hurt me to do that. I am, of course, joking, but you know what I mean. I think this one divides us all. I'm definitely someone who sits there and painstakingly refolds in the original fold lines. I can't help myself. It just has to be done. I see patterns at the store and they're like bunched up balls stuffed into the pattern envelope, and it just... it gives me heart palpitations even when I see them at the thrift store like that. So I'm definitely A. I'm refolding on the original lines. It's worth it. For me, it's worth it. I love to hear which are you, A, B, refold exactly how it should be, or you just kind of make it fit. You've got other, like, life's too short for that. Write down your answers. So write down your answers for all of them, 1 to 5. I really love to hear what your answers are. As I said, this is just kind of fun and games because I think it is so interesting, isn't it? That we do have all of these different particular things that work for us and some things that don't, and just things we like. And that's the point of making sewing and sewing in our own way. There is no one right answer in sewing for almost everything, including just these fun little things like pinning, like refolding envelopes. And so, you know, that's my philosophy on most things. Write your answers in the comment box, in the description box. No, write your answer in the comments down below, and do check the description box for other links to some videos that might be a little bit more helpful, or maybe just some fun too. Until next time, my sewing friends, happy sewing. Bye.